All right, so picture this with me. 90,000 screaming fans, Wembley Stadium, a heavyweight title fight. But here's the twist. There's whispers of, well, ancient magic surrounding one of the fighters.
Yeah, you don't hear that every day.
Definitely not your average Tuesday night. So we're diving into the story of Daniel Dubois. He's got this shot at Anthony Joshua's championship. And, well, let's just say his path to get there and the aftermath had everybody talking.
It's one of those stories that, I don't know, it really makes you think about how far people will go when the stakes are that high.
And we're talking about some seriously high stakes here. For those who don't follow boxing, Anthony Joshua at the time was basically considered unbeatable. Like, the guy was a global superstar.
Yeah, he was at the top of his game.
So Daniel Dubois going up against him, talk about an uphill battle.
Yeah, and that's where, well, this is where the story gets interesting. See, Dubois' trainer, Don Charles, he was convinced that, the usual training methods, they just weren't going to cut it. And to make things even more intense, he'd actually worked with Joshua earlier in Joshua's career. Can you imagine that pressure?
Oh, I can only imagine. Trying to beat the guy you helped train, that's got to be a whole different ballgame. So if conventional training wasn't the answer, what were they going to do?
That's where Daniel's father, Stan Dubois, comes in. See, it stands from the Caribbean originally. And Obeah, this system of spiritual practices, it's still very much a part of the culture there.
Okay, for those of us who might not be familiar, could you maybe explain what Obeah is exactly?
Sure. Obeah, it has its roots in West African traditions. And it's often associated with things like healing and protection, but also with, kind of harnessing spiritual forces to influence things of the physical world. It's got this really complex history, and I think it's been misunderstood, maybe even demonized by people outside of the culture.
So we're talking about a belief system that, to put it simply, some might say deals with the supernatural.
You could say that, yeah. But it's really important to remember that Obeah, it's seen very differently by different people. For some, it's cultural heritage, For others, they might be a bit more suspicious, maybe even afraid.
Okay, that adds a whole other layer of intrigue to this story. So we've got Don feeling the pressure of this fight, and then Stan, who believes in the power of Obeah. What happens next?
So they decided to seek out an Obeah member.
I'm not gonna lie, this is starting to sound like a mystery movie, and I am here for it. What was this Obeah man like? Give me the details.
Well, from what I've gathered, they met him in this old kind of rundown chapel. Imagine, like, incense burning, herbs everywhere, super atmospheric. He was described as this pretty intimidating guy, spoke in hushed tones. And get this, he warned them about the price of victory.
A price, huh? Okay, that's officially ominous. So what did he give them? Was it some kind of good luck charm?
He gave Stan a pendant, this worn pendant, and he told him it carried the spirit of victory. But he emphasized that it came at a cost, like it was a real deal being made.
Yeah, and you can't make this stuff up. It really does sound like a movie.
And, like any good story, there's always a skeptic, right? Enter Spenser Fearon, this boxing pundit. He's known for being, well, let's say he tells it like it is. He got wind of this meeting and actually stumbled upon Don and Stan leaving the chapel.
No way. Did he confront them?
It doesn't sound like it.
Yeah.
But he went public, told everyone what he'd seen, which, as you can imagine, caused quite the media frenzy.
I bet. I mean, even if you're a total skeptic, that's got to pique your interest, right? High-stakes boxing match, ancient beliefs, secret meetings, mysterious pendants. That's a story you just can't ignore.
It's true. And, it really makes you think, doesn't it? Even in this day and age, with all our technology and science, those ancient beliefs, they still have a hold on us, even if it's just through the stories we tell. You got to think about that energy in Wembley Stadium. It's iconic, right? And this fight, already so much hype.
Yeah, even before the Obeah rumors started making the rounds.
Exactly. But then Fearon's claims, that added this whole other level to everything. You've got 90,000 people. I mean, most of them probably aren't thinking about ancient magic. And then suddenly they're confronted with it, and the idea that it might actually be playing a part in this fight.
So how did that actually play out? Did the atmosphere change, or was it more subtle than that?
Well, there are some accounts of people feeling uneasy, like almost a sense of, foreboding. It's hard to say for sure how widespread it was. But it is interesting, isn't it, this idea that even just the suggestion of something can be so powerful.
Yeah, the power of suggestion. So, okay, we've got this backdrop of anticipation, a little bit of anxiety maybe, and then the fight starts. What happens?
It was clear right away that something was different about Daniel Dubois. He was faster, stronger, way more aggressive than anyone expected.
Do you think it was just him rising to the occasion, or was it something more?
That's the question, isn't it? Some people, they say, well, it was the Obeah ritual, of course. He tapped into something beyond the physical.
What about the pendant? Could you see it during the fight?
You could. People have said they saw it, glinting under his robe the whole match.
That's such a powerful image. This young fighter, he's like almost possessed or something. And this pendant, like this constant reminder, of this pact, this deal he made. It's crazy.
It really is. Like something out of myth, but it's happening in real life.
Yeah.
And I think it really makes you think, the stories we tell ourselves, how much they actually shape the way we see the world.
And speaking of stories, how did Joshua react to this version of Dubois? I mean, this wasn't the opponent he trained for.
It's true. It wasn't. And he seemed caught off guard. People said he was visibly frustrated, even confused. I mean, imagine that. You train for months for this specific opponent, and then, bam, they're like a different person entirely.
Yeah, that's got to mess with you. What about Spenser Fearon, the guy who went public with the Obeah thing? Was he at the fight?
Oh, he was front and center, watching the whole thing unfold. Some people even say he kind of shaped the whole narrative, just by being there.
How so?
Well, think about it. By going public, he introduced this idea, this doubt, maybe even a little bit of fear. And that was in everyone's minds, the fighters, the audience, everyone. So did he influence the outcome just by planting that seed? It's interesting to think about.
It really is. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, if you believe something strongly enough, does it actually become your reality?
Exactly. And it's not just sports, right? Think about the placebo effect, for example.
Right. So you're saying maybe, just maybe, Dubois' belief in Obeah, or even just his belief in himself, maybe that was enough to, like, unlock something in him.
I mean, it's definitely possible. Our minds are incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
There's a reason athletes use visualization techniques. So the fight is going. Dubois is, well, he's on fire. And Joshua, he's trying to hold on.
So take us through those last few moments. What happens?
Well, it's almost like anticlimactic,
Sure.
Dubois gets this knockout punch. Just like that, it's over.
Just like that, huh?
Yeah. Joshua goes down, the crowd goes wild. And, well, Daniel Dubois, he's the new heavyweight champion of the world.
So a storybook ending. Right. I mean, the underdog. He beats the odds, achieves his dream.
Yeah. But remember that whole, that price of victory thing? The Obeah man's warning? That's what makes this whole thing so, I don't know, so complex.
Right. We haven't really talked about what happened after the fight. Do we know, did they ever say what the price was?
Nope. Never revealed. And that's what gets you, Dubois, did something happen to him? Was it a career thing, something in his personal life? Or was it maybe more like internal? Some kind of, I don't know, mental price he had to pay.
Man, so we're left to wonder.
Exactly. It's almost like it's not even about the actual events anymore, It's more about what they represent. Like a story about ambition and what people are willing to believe, what happens when you try to get power from, well, somewhere else.
So how did everyone react to Dubois' win? Did they buy into it, the Obeah thing? I mean...
No, it was all over the place. Some people, they were totally convinced. They said, see, this is proof right here. But then others, they were like, come on, that's just superstition. They said he won because he worked hard, had talent, maybe a little luck.
I bet it sparked some interesting conversations, though,
Oh, yeah.
right?
It really got people thinking about belief, Like, how much does it really affect our lives? And traditional practices, do they still have a place in this day and age? Even, I don't know, the ethics of it all. Is it okay to try to get ahead using something like that?
So we end up with this story that's, it's exciting, but it really makes you think. You've got this incredible victory, but then there's this mystery, this darkness almost, and always that question, what did it really cost? Kind of makes you think about those old sayings, like, be careful what you wish for.
For sure. It's like they always say, nothing's free.
This was wild. Thanks for taking this deep dive with me. I know I'm going to be thinking about this one for a while.
Anytime. And for everyone listening, hey, keep asking questions, right? Keep digging. You never know what you might find.